Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more latest news. So if you do consider drop your likes, and if you do consider subscribe to this channel as always. So I do believe that Manchester United, in my own opinion, do need at least 3 to 4 more signings, if we are to be back, to being a competitive elite level football club. Now obviously, like I did say, reflect on the history of this football club, because we are the most successful team in England, historically. Reflects on the amount of money that's been invested into the football club in the last 6 or 7 years in all the managerial eras. We are all aware that we should be in a much more commanding position, than we're already in. Because obviously, we've enjoyed a really bad start to the season. We've only registered 9 points from 7 league games, and we know that's nowhere near good enough, to our standards, and we're currently sitting 10th in the league at the moment. We're actually enjoying our worst start to a season for 3 decades, and actually now it turns out that it's actually now worse under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era than what it was under the Jose Mourinho era, because I think it did say Solskjaer's record now after 28-29 games is actually no worse than Jose Mourinho's, and that so it's worse under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. Despite our bad start to the season, I still believe Manchester United are back in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I think Ed Woodward is still convinced that he can turn things around with the football club. But I said Solskjaer can't invoke Ferguson's legacy to save him at Manchester United. But I did say regardless who our manager is anyway, no one's gonna ever follow Alex Ferguson's legacy. We're never gonna replicate what we did under Alex Ferguson. Regardless of who our current manager is. But like I did say, to take into account, Ferguson, didn't win out in his first 4 years. Remember when he first got recommended into the football club back in 1984 or 1985 from Aberdeen? Didn't win out in his first 4 years, and actually, I think it was 1 game away from getting the sack, but he didn't. And then look what obviously, Ferguson went and accomplished. We had obviously, 20 odd years of success under him, but we do know now at this day and age, managers, don't get the time, that they would like, of course, because obviously the boards are a lot more ruthless. In my own opinion, I think we need to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at least a year, maybe even a couple of years, to see who else, he can recommend into the football club. So I would give him at least a couple of more transfer windows, because analysing, the majority of this squad, it isn't Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. There's only 3 players that are Solskjaer's, that I did recommend in during the summer. Obviously we spent over £140 million on Daniel James, Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire in that, and they've done really, really well so far. They've settled in very, very well. But I still think there's definitely problematic areas in the squad that do need to be addressed in January and perhaps next summer. And the good thing is Solskjaer is already making plans for the January window. I think also Ed Woodward is making plans for the January window. Solskjaer's got quite a few players on his agenda who he probably could go in for in January. I think he's keen on sticking to the policy of recruiting young British players, like he did do earlier on in the summer. But like I did say, we didn't address all the problematic areas during the summer, because obviously it was going to be, extremely difficult for us to address all the problematic areas in one summer transfer window. So I'm glad we got that experienced centre half in. I'm also happy that we got that right back in. But obviously during the summer, we didn't address that midfield, because that midfield area is one of the priority areas where we do need to strengthen up. I think we need to recruit a replacement for Fernando Herrera. Don't forget, for the majority of the summer, we was in search for a right winger. I think one of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's main priority is to recommend the striker in. So I think he's identified quite a few positions, he wants to strengthen up in January. But like Roy Keane said, on Monday Night Football after, the Arsenal game where ended 1-1, our last league game, Roy Keane says, Manchester United needs to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at least a couple of more windows, obviously, to build a team that can obviously win trophies and of course can be competitive in that. But yeah, Solskjaer has only been at Manchester United now overall for around 10 months, nearly 11 months. So he has been at the football club, just under a year. Obviously, we recommended Solskjaer in December of last year, following the dismissal of Jose Mourinho. Now, obviously, Solskjaer, the first, as you all know, came in as interim manager at the football club, and Solskjaer did really, really well when he was interim manager. He was interim manager for 3 months, and he did really, really well in that 3-month period. The results were good, the performances were good. He's getting the best out of these group of players, and he exceeded expectations. expectations. But since he got the job in March earlier on this year, everything, of course, has just seemed to have all gone wrong. Everything's just seemed to have all gone wrong, basically. And I think now you'll get the vast majority of Manchester United fans, and including me, but they were also saying it towards the back end of last season that, we've probably give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the job too early. Like I said, maybe we should have waited until the end of last season. Maybe we should have waited at some point until this season, to decide whether to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the job or not. But, I think he does need to be given more time at the football club. But I think it did confirm at the start of this season, I think the board did confirm, regardless of what happens this season, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job, should be safe, because I think, the board realised that they didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough, during the summer. And I did say, with our failure to qualify for the Champions League, I think that's one of the main reasons that went against us during the summer, because obviously if you're not in Champions League football, then obviously it's going to be harder to attract players to the elite level, and a lot of players during this summer had element of concerns about joining the football club. Like I did say to you, I do credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in some aspects in that, he did get rid of a lot of the deadwood during the summer. He recommended 3 good players to the squad. Don't forget Solskjaer has got a lot of faith in his young players, but my element of concerns I've got about him that he hasn't really got that managerial experience, especially not to the highest level. He won a couple of Norwegian titles with Mould. Obviously, had a really a short tenure with Cardiff. I think he actually ended up getting Cardiff relegated. I think also his tactics are questionable, and I will admit, Manchester United are very tactically inept. But I just don't think he can be a success at Manchester United. Can Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? He was I think the board a softening on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because obviously we know that he's a club legend and that he was a great long-serving player for Manchester United. He served 11 years at the football club, and that obviously one of his most iconic moments as a player obviously was back in 1999, of course, when he won the club the treble. And that's obviously the club's greatest achievement. Solskjaer as a player won 6 Premier Leagues, 6 FA Cups, I think it was, and 2 the Champions League with the football club. So he has got that proven pedigree as a player, but he hasn't really got it as a manager. But I think basically us getting rid of Solskjaer at this moment in time would not solve a lot of problems with the football club. And I did say, I think so far this season is replicating what I saw last season. What I mean in that aspect is that I haven't really seen much improvements this season. But if we continue with this bad run of form, I think we could enjoy a worse season this season than what we saw last season. Last season was bad enough. We finished 6th. Obviously, we failed to win any silverware and that. And I think last season was the lowest we finished. Since the David Moyes era. Because back under the David Moyes era, of course, Manchester United did finish 7th. If you do remember rightly. But yeah, I want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure, to become successful at Manchester United and that, because I like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a lot. Solskjaer is our 4th permanent manager, since the Alex Ferguson era. And I did initially say, we haven't got the structure, to keep sacking managers, despite the fact that 3 managers have already been sacked from the football club, since the Alex Ferguson era. But I did say, due to our inconsistency, I think, the blame stems from everybody, basically. So it's a mixture, but I think the vast majority of the blame does stem from the board, because the board are a liability. The board have been, haven't been ruthless enough in the last 3 to 4 windows and that. We haven't been getting the players there that we do want. I think analysing our recruitment policy, it isn't too good, to be quite honest with you. But I think the board do need to assure structural changes at the football club. Whether they can assure these structural changes or not, I do not know. I think they need to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in January. I think, as well, also some of the blame does stem from Solskjaer. I think some of the blame, stems from a lot of players, because obviously they've been underperforming. And I think also, some of the blame does stem from Ed Woodward. So I would say the blame is a mixture. But there's definitely certain players that I've got to improve. But I think, I think I think analysing it, everything at Manchester United does need to improve. I think the results need to improve. I think the performances need to improve. I think our away form needs to improve. Because don't forget, we haven't won away from home, since you know, the PSG game last season in the Champions League. You know, our home form needs to improve because our home form's been very, very poor. Certain players need to improve. We tactically need to improve. The style of play needs to improve because a lot of Man United fans are not happy with the brand of football. We need to score more goals than that. Because we've only scored nine goals so far in the league this season. But, you know, there's still a long way to go, and you know things can be turned around at the football club, hopefully. But you know you can pinpoint certain games out this season that arguably, you know, Manchester United should have won. I think we should have definitely, you know, won at Southampton away. You know, that's a game we should have won. I think we should have won at Wolves away earlier on in the season. I think we should have won at Crystal Palace at home. Reflect on the amount of chances we had in that game. And, you know, yeah, these games we should have arguably, you know, won this season. And I think, you know, the worst performance of the season so far was the game against Alkmaar, which was obviously, you know, our last game in the Europa League. I think that's the worst performance of the season so far. Obviously, didn't register one single shot on target in the history of the competition. Obviously, couldn't keep hold of the ball. You know, couldn't string 2 or 3 passes together. It was just an absolutely abysmal performance. So in today's game against Newcastle, we do need to see massive improvements, and we've got to basically now win today. And this should be the away game Manchester United should win, because obviously, like I said, you know, Newcastle are struggling. You know, they're struggling for form. Obviously, they've been inconsistent so far this season. They've only won 1 game so far this season out of 7. Obviously, you know, they've only registered 5 points from 7 games, so they are sitting 19th in the league table. So this should be our first away win of the season. Now, I did initially say, you know, top 4's obviously, you know, not gone yet. You know, we're still early on in the season, but we need to get that top 4 this season, because obviously, you know, that's our expectations, and obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got to exceed these expectations. I did initially say towards the back end of last season that our expectations this season will be to finish in that top 4, because obviously we do know at the moment that our squad is obviously, you know, not good enough, you know, to win the league, or even, you know, a challenger for the league. But we've got big ambitions for the future, and obviously those ambitions is to get back to winning silverware, in that we want to see that fear factor and that winning mentality back to the football club. And obviously, you know, Solskjaer, you know, wants to bring all this back to Manchester United, but obviously, you know, a lot of people have got doubts about it and that. I think Man United are going to win today. If I'm going to be quite honest with you, I think it'll probably be 2-1 or something, you know, to Manchester United. You know, like I did say to you, I interpreted some of the things that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had mentioned in his press conference, you know, building up to this game today and that, and he come out with some interesting, you know, quotes and that, and he basically said, you know, we're not back in the 1990s. You know, he's mentioned that it's a different era, you know, with different players, different groups, you know, that we're building, and he basically said there's not many teams that have the stature, you know, like, you know, we do with playing the young players. And he basically said, you know, we haven't been good enough. So I like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as well, because he's got a lot of honesty, and he basically said, you know, we haven't had the best execution. So obviously he wants to see improvements. So these are some of the stuff, like I said, he mentioned in his press conference, you know, building up to the game. Obviously after the game today, it's an international break, and then obviously it's Liverpool at Old Trafford after the international break, which is obviously going to be a very, very tough game. Liverpool have obviously won every game so far this season. I think they could actually, you know, win the league, you know, this season. Liverpool, you know, don't forget, Liverpool haven't won the Premier League for 3 decades. Yeah, so I think, you know, more players, you know, would have regained full fitness, you know, for the game against Liverpool, which is very, very good news. But I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to make a lot of alterations in the squad today, so he's, you know, going to rotate the squad, obviously, especially reflecting on the amount of injuries we've got, because I think Solskjaer has confirmed that all of our players that are injured at the moment, you know, none of them, you know, will be able to play today against Newcastle. As you all know, Paul Pogba, of course, is out with injury. He missed the Alkmaar game, but he played the 2 previous games before the AZ Alkmaar game. He played against Rochdale and he played against Arsenal, but obviously, you know, didn't look fully fit. Paul Pogba, he's been further assessed, and that, you know, due to the recurrence of his foot injury that he had sustained in the 1-1 draw with Southampton. I think that was actually, you know, back in August. But yeah, I don't think, you know, he will be playing today. You know, will Paul Pogba. You know, analysing Paul Pogba's performances so far this season, he has been, you know, way below low par. He hasn't performed to the standards as we all expected, and he's mainly had a difficult time so far with Manchester United. In comparison to his time at Juventus, I still believe Paul Pogba will leave in January, or he will leave next summer, in my opinion, because I still think he does want out of the football club. Obviously, we do know that Anthony Martial and Luke Shaw are still out. They've missed the last 6 games in all competitions for Manchester United. Like I said, Anthony Martial, he enjoyed a really, really good start to the season. Obviously, before he had a sustained... Before he had sustained his thigh injury, he sustained the thigh injury in the 2-1 defeat to Crystal Palace, on the 3rd game of the Premier League season, and he's been out since then. But he has been a big miss. But I think we need some more inspiration in that attacking third of the pitch, because I think we're lacking in that attacking line now, following the dismissal of Romelu Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez. But Martial does make a big difference, when he's playing in that attacking line. And I think now Martial is close to regaining full fitness in that, and if he can keep the consistency up and he can avoid sustaining any more injuries, I think he can score at least from between 15 to 20 goals this season. Martial's now into his 5th season as a Manchester United player. He has scored over 50 goals for the club in all competitions. And yeah, don't forget he signed a new deal back in January. So Martial is under contract with the football club until 2024. He is only 23 years of age, is Anthony Martial, so still got a lot of development in him. And obviously it got confirmed at the start of this season that obviously Anthony Martial has been given that number 9 shirt. So obviously he's playing more centrally. Even though he predominantly plays out wide on the left, I think he's more effective in that central position, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, he will not be playing in this game. Luke Shaw's obviously out with a hamstring injury. He's missed the last 6 games in all competitions. Like I said, Luke Shaw's also, a very, very imperative player. Luke Shaw, obviously, I think now he's into his 5th season as a Manchester United player in that. Don't forget Luke Shaw won the double player of the season last season, reflecting on his impressive performances. And he's sustained quite a few injuries as a Manchester United player, and obviously, he had a bad spell under Mourinho, but I think prior to that, he has been mainly consistent as Luke Shaw. But Luke Shaw will not be playing in this game, so Luke Shaw and Martial are going to be missing their 7th game for Manchester United in all competitions today. Obviously, with Wan-Bissaka, we know that he's not going to be I don't think he's going to be playing here today. Don't forget, Wan-Bissaka is out with illness, so in that aspect, he has missed the last 2 games for Manchester United. So I think today is going to be the 2nd league game he's going to be missing, and his 3rd game he's going to be missing in all competitions. But we do know how much of an imperative player that Wan-Bissaka is, and a lot of people believe he's been our most consistent signing, and I think he has. To be quite honest with you, I think if Wan-Bissaka does continue this good run of form, his valuation will persistently grow. Only at 21 years of age, but I think Wan-Bissaka has got tonsillitis. Don't forget Mason Greenwood had tonsillitis not too long ago, but Wan-Bissaka should be definitely back for Liverpool. But Wan-Bissaka actually sustained an injury earlier on in the season. Don't forget he had sustained that back injury, which obviously prevented him from making his England senior debut. So in that aspect, he would have been infuriated. So I think today we could start Alex Tuanzebe at right back, and I think at left back it'll probably be Young, maybe Rojo. You could even put Diego Dalot there, but I think it's more than likely it will be Ashley Young. But I think Alex Tuanzebe could actually start at right back, because I think the games Tuanzebe has played in this season, he has done really, really well. He is actually predominantly a centre back, but he can play as a full back than Tuanzebe. But we have got quite a few versatile defenders. Obviously, Jesse Lingard, he came off injured in the 0-0 draw with AZ Alkmaar. He's sustained a hamstring problem, so I think he's been ruled out for today's game against Newcastle. But Jesse Lingard, I think his performances have been abysmal so far this season. He's enjoyed a really, really difficult start to the season. Don't get me wrong, I still think Jesse Lingard is the long-term solution for Manchester United, and like I said, reflecting on his status and that of the football club, he should be putting much more better performances out, so he will not be playing today. We know that Eric Bailly's a long-term absence. He's out, I think, until the new year, or is it until the end of December? He's out with a knee injury. Fosu Mensah, of course, is still out with injury. He sustained the injury whilst he was on loan with Fulham last season, with Fosu Mensah. had Foster meant to win that, but I think he's actually now close to regaining full fitness. And Phil Jones is still out with injury. This is why obviously he missed the years at Alkmaar game. So yeah, he'll make a lot of alterations today. But like I said, we have got a lot of young players in the squad, that are developing and trying to improve. We've also still got a lot of experienced players in the squad and that. And Solskjaer's got a lot of trust in his young players. He also goes a lot with the experienced players. But I don't think obviously all the young upcoming players, are going to become a success at Manchester United. I think maybe we should orchestrate on maybe loaning some of the young upcoming players out and that. I've got some element of concerns about Chong. I've got some element of concerns about him. I think he's totally comparison to Mason Greenwood. Chong has played a couple of games this season. Don't forget, he had received loan offers this summer, from PSV and his former club Feyenoord. But actually, Chong had turned these loan offers down because he wants to remain loyal at Manchester United at least for this season. He's only 19 years of age. But I think Solskjaer did assure Chong more first team opportunities this season. Obviously, if he does work hard in that, but he has played quite a few games, but I have got some element of concerns about him. I think maybe a few young upcoming players need to be loaned out, and that. I don't think all of them are going to become a success at Manchester United, in my opinion. Don't forget, some of them do need time. It could only turn out that Mason Greenwood, does become the successful one there again. I think Alex Tuanzebe, will, succeed at Manchester United. But my overarching view on Mason Greenwood is that, I think, he by the time he's 23, 24, he can be a world class centre forward, in my opinion. Because I think he's better in that number 9. He was actually playing on the right, I think, against AZ Alkmaar. And actually, Mason Greenwood could be starting on the right today because it's more than likely that Rashford will be playing today against Newcastle and that. Rashford, don't forget, he's just recently, recovered from a groin problem. He actually, didn't look fully fit in the game against Arsenal. But definitely, Rashford's performances, need to improve. But, like I do keep saying, I think at this moment in time, Mason Greenwood is a much better solution than Marcus Rashford at this present time. Because obviously we know that Mason Greenwood has not yet started a game from the start in the Premier League. Obviously, so far this season, Mason Greenwood has made 5 substitute appearances. He did start in the game against Rochdale in the Carabao Cup and the Europa League against FC Stanley in that. And, he scored in both of them games, so he did come up with that moment of quality. But Solskjaer knows it's impossible to leave Greenwood out of the squad, when he keeps scoring and that, and if he keeps consistency up, is assured he will get, more minutes under his belt. So for me, Mason Greenwood does have to start today, and he's just actually recently, just turned 18 years of age as Mason Greenwood. But yeah, I think he definitely should be starting today. Don't forget, Angel Gomez is another one of our young upcoming players. I think he, played in the game against West Ham, played against Alkmaar midweek. Obviously, he's just recently, recovered from injury. Obviously, Angel Gomez is another one of our midfield options. Diego Dalot, he's another one of the young upcoming players. Obviously, he's one of our backup options at that full-back position. He's played 2 games so far this season as Diego Dalot. He's sustained a couple of injuries so far this season. But yeah, we have got quite a few injuries, and like I said, my overarching view on Marcus Rashford, he definitely needs to improve because he's been below par this season. I think Rashford did well throughout pre-season. He did well on the opening day against Chelsea in that 4-0 victory, but I think prior to that he has been below par, and he hasn't performed to the standards as we all expected. Rashford so far has spent the entirety of his career with Manchester United. He's been a United player since the age of 7. He's been in the senior squad with us, since 2016. And, don't forget, Rashford scored on his Europa League debut against Midtjylland. He scored twice on his Premier League debut against Arsenal, back in 2016 and that. And he did really, really well then. But, at the moment he's enduring a difficult time at Manchester United in comparison to his time when he first broke into the senior squad. But he's only 21. He's still got a hell of a lot of development in him. And the club, of course, do need to give Rashford, more time. So he definitely needs to improve. But I think a lot of players, do need to improve. Pogba needs to improve when he's fully fit. Definitely Jesse Lingard needs to improve, when he's fully fit. So there's a lot of players that have underperformed, but I think another player that's performed really, really well this season, and that's Scott McTominay, where, I think he's done really, really well. McTominay, where, has deserved to keep his place in the team, reflecting on his impressive performances and that. And in regards to McTominay, being a long-term solution for Man United, I have got element of concerns about that. There is question marks around McTominay. Can he keep the consistency up? And I hope he can keep the consistency up and that. But for the majority of this season so far, he has been playing alongside Paul Pogba. Obviously due to Paul Pogba's absence, recently he has actually been mainly playing alongside Matic as McTominay, a few times I think alongside Fred, but mainly he has been playing alongside Paul Pogba. McTominay has put Paul Pogba to shame, to be quite fair. McTominay is only 22, has still got a lot of development in him. But yeah, I think he will be playing today. My opinions on Fred, I think he's done well in a couple of games this season, so I will credit him in that aspect. I think, Manchester United, do need to give Fred a bit more time. Don't forget he's only been at the club since last summer when we signed him from Shakhtar Donetsk for just under £50 million. But yeah, he hasn't mainly replicated at Manchester United, what he did at Shakhtar Donetsk, and that because he was an exceptional player at Shakhtar Donetsk. But I think Manchester United, do need to give Fred more time. We obviously, need to see more of Fred, and I think he's a much better solution than Matic. But I think there again, any of our midfielders are much better solutions than Matic. Andres Pereira, my opinions on him, well, I think he had a good game against Arsenal, to be fair. I think in the other games he has been a bit below par, but we do need to give Andres Pereira a bit more time. Obviously, he returned to the club, was it early on in the summer, because he obviously had loan spells in Spain with Granada and Valencia, I think it was. And Jimmy Garner, I think, at some point... At some point this season, he should get, giving his chances, should Jimmy Garner. I don't think he's yet played this season. I think he did play quite a few games throughout pre-season, if I can remember rightly. Yes, he did. He's another, obviously, and I think another one of our midfield options. But yeah, so I think also mainly so far this season, Lindelof has done really, really well, and I think he has, actually, blended in alongside Harry Maguire, really, really well. Lindelof's had a couple of bad games so far this season, but I think prior to that, he's done well. Like 5 of the games this season, Lindelof has done really, really well. Definitely, he's flourishing at Manchester United. Lindelof now is into his 3rd season as a Manchester United player. I think he's made around 70 odd appearances for the club in all competitions. But I think, he has mainly, done well in that. So these players performing well, but there's a lot, that of course are underperforming. So a lot of the players, do need a reality check, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But like I did say, I think more players still need to leave the football club, despite the fact, that a lot of players have now left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. I think around, 7 players have now left since Solskjaer's arrival. Obviously, we've loaned quite a few players out. Obviously, a couple of goalkeepers have been loaned out. Obviously, we know that Valencia left the club at the end of last season after he served 10 years with Manchester United. He was a long-serving player at the football club. Obviously, we do know that Chris Smalling went out on loan to Roma for just under £3 million. Obviously, Smalling was a long-serving player at the football club. He served 9 years at Manchester United. Smalling, despite the fact that Smalling has left the club, though, we have still got 6 centre-backs in the team. Obviously, Darmian went to Parma. Obviously, Ander Herrera left the club earlier on this summer. We let him go on a free transfer to PSG, so we let his contract run down. And I think that was a mistake for Manchester United, letting Ander Herrera go, because, you could arguably say Ander Herrera, was one of our best players since the Alex Ferguson era. I think I'd say he had maybe 3.5, 4 good years out of the 5, he was here, and it was a mistake from us letting him go. But I was also more infuriated that we let Ander Herrera go on a free transfer. And like I said, we're known for doing that. We're known for overpaying for players, and then when it comes to letting them go, we let them go for next to nothing. So in that aspect, that's bad business from the football club. And there's obviously, like I said, been prime examples of it this summer. Obviously, Marion Fellaini left the football club back in January for China. He served 6 years at Manchester United. Of course, Lukaku and Sanchez both, went to Inter Milan. Lukaku went permanently. Sanchez went out on loan. So obviously now they're reuniting in that aspect. But I was happy, that with the money we generated from Lukaku's departure, to be fair, I wasn't surprised he left the football club because obviously, Lukaku and that lost his place in the team and all that. But I'm surprised what we generated from him. I didn't think, we'd have got £70 million from him, but that's obviously, what we was demanding to let him go. So basically, you can say we recouped the money that we did pay for Lukaku from Everton a couple of years ago. We paid around £75 million for him for Everton, and we've obviously got £70 million off Inter Milan, which is very, very good. And with Sanchez, despite the fact, that he's on loan to Inter Milan, we are still paying the vast majority of his wages. I still believe, we're paying him around, 300 grand a week. Obviously, Inter Milan, of course, are paying some of his wages. I'm glad that Sanchez left the football club. I said the only way we'd have got rid of him is probably putting him out on a long season loan, because we wouldn't have been able to get rid of him permanently, reflecting on his substantial wages. And even if there'd been no point in Sanchez staying anywhere, because obviously, Sanchez had only been assured, game times in the Europa League and the cup games, wouldn't have really got much chances in the league. But Sanchez did enjoy a difficult 18 months at the football club. He only managed 5 goals in 45 games in all competitions. Obviously, he's aging up now. He's 31 years of age. But so I'm glad we got rid of him. And like I said, Dean Henson went out on loan to Sheffield United. Also, Joe Pryor went out on loan to Hearts in Scotland. So yeah, quite a lot of players now left. But I still believe, these are problematic players at the football club. I think Young should leave at the end of the season. He's past his sell-by date. Obviously, reflects on his age, because Young's now 34. I think he's 35 next year. I think Phil Jones, he also needs to be moved on in January or next summer or in the future, because he's another problematic player at the football club. Jones has been another long-serving player here. Jones and Ashley Young are both now into their 9th season as Manchester United players. We shouldn't have given Jones a new long-term contract last season. We shouldn't have given Young a new 1-year extension last season. So that was 2 mistakes in the football club. Matic, for me, he's another problematic player who needs to be moved on in January or next summer. If we could sell him in January, obviously we can cash in for him. But if he leaves at the end of the season, then obviously we can't, because obviously he's got under a year left on his contract term as Matic. He's got under a year left on his contract term as Matic, and I think we do actually though have an option, to extend his contract by a further year, and that. But Matic is too slow. He makes that midfield look totally imbalanced. Matic now is into his 3rd season as a Man United player. Analysing the majority of his tenure at Man United, he has been mainly inconsistent. Obviously we paid around £40 million from Chelsea back under the Jose Mourinho Moreira. So I think he definitely needs to be moved on. But like I said, it's good that, like I said earlier on in the video, that we are making plans for the January window and that. And I was reading recent reports, like I did update you yesterday, saying that reportedly now Mario Mandzukic is on our agenda for January. Also, Callum Wilson is on our agenda for January. Obviously, they are 2 strikers. Now, we inquired about getting Mario Mandzukic towards the back end of the, summer transfer window, if you do remember rightly. But obviously, we didn't get him. We know that he's a cheap alternative and that, but I think it did say that the board have got element of concerns about recommending Mario Mandzukic into the football club, reflecting on his age, because he's now 33 years of age. I think Mario Mandzukic has probably got only a couple of years left in him. He's only got a couple of years left him as Mario Mandzukic. I admire him because I think he's had a fantastic career and that. Obviously, I don't think he's ever played in the Premier League. But yeah, reportedly he's one of our main priority targets for this upcoming January transfer window. Callum Wilson. Obviously, there's been a lot of talks about him, going on, and I think he would be the right calibre player for Manchester United. Again, I think he would be a good, adequate replacement for Romelu Lukaku, and I think Callum Wilson would assure us of the, them goals and that we do need, because he is a goal scorer, is Callum Wilson. He's well Premier League proven in that. He's been at Bournemouth for quite some time now. I think he's been at Bournemouth around, 5 years? He has been there since 2014. Callum Wilson has got over 3 years left on his contract with Bournemouth. He signed a 4-year contract earlier on in the summer with them. I think for Bournemouth, in all competitions, he's made around 148 appearances and scored 58 goals. And I think just in the Premier League, he's made just under a century of appearances and scored 38 goals and provided around 11 assists. But I think all in all, I think including his time when he was in the Championship, he's made 148 appearances. Callum Wilson, he's 27 years of age, so he has still got a lot of development in him. But I think, Bournemouth do know how much of an imperative player that Callum Wilson is, so I think, it may take a substantial amount, to convince Bournemouth, to offload the player. So they're two players that are on our agenda for January. Don't forget, recent reports did say we was orchestrating on spending another substantial amount in January. Reportedly we was willing to spend up to around £90 million on Moussa Dembele and Sean Longstaff from Newcastle. Again, Moussa Dembele is an out-and-out number 9 striker. Obviously Moussa Dembele, he's played in the Premier League, obviously, when he was younger with Fulham, because actually, Moussa Dembele began his senior career with Fulham, and that he had served quite a few years with them. Obviously, he played for Celtic as well. Don't forget, Dembele had a good couple of years with Celtic. Obviously, Dembele is now with Lyon. He's now into his second season as a Lyon player. Lyon paid around £20 million to him last summer from Celtic. It was his debut season last season for Lyon, and I think he scored around 20 goals last season. So again, can score goals. So do you think he would be the right player for Man United? 23 years of age. I think he's just recently turned 23 years of age, as Moussa Dembele. But yeah, would you like to see him, come to Manchester United? And with Sean Longstaff, like I did say, we was in for him, during the summer. We was in for him, during the summer and that. I think if we are if we are to reignite our interest in Jadon Sancho, I think we'll probably go in for Jadon Sancho next summer, because I think he's set to remain at Borussia Dortmund at least for this season. Yes, we was in for Jadon Sancho earlier on this summer. We also identified Jadon Sancho as our number 1 priority target back in January, but obviously we failed to get Jadon Sancho. Obviously, with our failure to qualify for the Champions League. Obviously, if we are to go in for him next summer, we are aware that Jadon Sancho is going to cost us a substantial amount. We'll probably have to pay in the excess of around £100 million. Obviously, Jadon Sancho is predominantly a right winger, but can obviously also play centrally. He's still got around, just over 2 years left in his contract with Dortmund. Dortmund is under contract with them until 2022. Obviously, he's had 2 good years with Dortmund. He's now into his 3rd season as a Borussia Dortmund player. He has made over 60 first-team appearances for Borussia Dortmund and he has actually done really, really well. Don't forget, before he was at Dortmund, he was at Man City, so he's had experience of already playing in the Premier League, but he served a couple of years at City, but never got assured first-team opportunities at Man City, and this is the main factor reason why I left City to join Borussia Dortmund, and still, he's only 19 years of age, but I think he's got big ambitions, for the future, and those ambitions are to obviously win trophies and that, with Dortmund, but he still remains unsure about his future and that, but I think, if we are to go in for Sancho, we'll probably, go in for him next summer. But yeah, so we're getting a lot of players now on our current agenda and that. But definitely, the area we need to strengthen up in January is definitely that midfield. But like I did say to you, I've already explained the reasons, why it didn't work out, in all the, in all the managerial areas, since Alex Ferguson's retirement. And like I said, it didn't work out under the Jose Mourinho era, because I think, we recommended him in too late for the start. I think arguably we should have recommended Mourinho win after Ferguson's retirement. You could maybe say if we'd have recommended Jose Mourinho win after Ferguson's retirement, then maybe it would have been a different scenario with Manchester United, because obviously back in the old generation that Jose Mourinho obviously was regarded as one of the best managers in the world, and that obviously he's got that proven pedigree, won stuff and that everywhere he's been, but the football club recommended him in too late, and like I said, won
mistake, that Alex Ferguson made. Obviously, I was recommending, David Moyes into the job, and obviously David Moyes only lasted 10 months at the club. Obviously, he's the manager to have the shortest tenure with the club since the Alex Ferguson era. But the reasons why it didn't work out under Jose Mourinho era, because obviously, he had bad disputes with the board, he had bad disputes with some of the top players. Obviously, the board weren't, back in the signings, that I did want to recommend into the football club last summer. But Jose Mourinho did win the Europa League and League Cup in his first season with Manchester United. But like I've just said to you, they're the reasons it didn't work out under him. He served 2.5 years at the club. He's actually the longest serving manager at Manchester United. Well, we've had at Manchester United since the Alex Ferguson era. But, don't forget Mourinho spent just under £400 million on 11 players. So, obviously, in that aspect, majority of this squad, this team is Jose Mourinho's, and obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is inheriting the vast majority of Jose Mourinho's players and that. Obviously, like under Louis van Gaal, he served like just over a year at Man United. Obviously, didn't work out under him. Because he didn't have the right sort of philosophy in that. He did bring a lot of players into the football club, but I think now the vast majority of them have obviously now left. We did win the FA Cup, back under the Louis van Gaal era and that. But like I said, we have been a toxic club for the last 6 or 7 years. A lot of money's been spent. I think around an estimated guess around £800 million has been spent at Manchester United in the last 6 to 7 years or so on players. So we spent just under £1 billion, and we've spent just under £1 billion, and that's not taking into account what was spent under Alex Ferguson, because obviously Ferguson did develop a lot of young players in that. And if you want to take into account what was spent under Ferguson, obviously it's way over £1 billion that has been spent at the football club. That's been spent with the football club. But like I said to you, it's good that we're making plans for the January window and that. But we need to definitely see further more investment. But I think we need to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer more time. And we need to see structural changes at the football club without a shadow of a doubt. Your Newcastle Man United reaction, will be coming up later on today. It won't be straight after the game. Probably will be a couple of hours after the game, or maybe now after the game when I do my reaction for that game. But Manchester United do need to win today, without shadow of a doubt. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do consider subscribe, as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.